So would you say this is happening only in the US and not in Europe in general?
I would argue that in other countries it's less severe than here, right?
How did you get this wicked?
How did it get this wicked here?
Here, yes.
Man, how long do we have, you know? I mean, this is a subsidiary of something called the Flexner report. The Flexner report was in 1910, 1911. These two twins were, oh gosh, it wasn't Carnegie. It was one of the wealthy families, right? It wasn't Rockefeller at the time, but it was one of the wealthy families that basically got these guys to audit medical education. What they were actually doing at the time was the chemical industry and the oil industry were merging. And they knew that they could create drugs. They just didn't know how they were going to deliver them to the degree, but they knew the industry was there, and they knew they could actually take over completely. So these twins went and audited all the medical schools. They audited their curriculum. They perceived themselves as authorities. And what they did was a lot of the medical schools were gone as a result of that. But they attacked homeopathy. They attacked chiropractic. They attacked naturopathy. They attacked virtually every other entity that was outside of the conventional medically trained system. So they cleaned out conventional, and they completely ousted all the natural. Like they almost completely destroyed homeopathy. And I would argue, and I'm biased because I'm a chiropractor, but chiropractors were largely the most vigilant in fighting against them, right? And this medical tyranny that started back then was essentially because they knew they had an industry that could then oust and own the entire medical industry. So pharma birthed out of the chemical and oil industry the wealthiest families in the world, and then they took over medical education. And once they took over medical education, go to any medical school today, and you go to their halls, their buildings, all the donations come from pharma, and they own the entire system. Chiropractors, up until the 80s, were going to the jail, hundreds of chiropractors, thousands of times, jailed over that time period.
Here in the US?
In the US. Well, chiropractic is largely only in the US. Chiropractic started in Davenport, Iowa, and there's 70,000 chiropractors in the US and maybe 100,000 in the world. There's not many of us, right? But chiropractors fought against this discrimination, right? Because the AMA at the time was
American Medical
Association was basically brainwashing all of their new graduates, giving them, like, this is not my research, there's documentaries on this, giving them what they call quack packs.
What is it?
The term quack, right? The term quack, have you heard it before? So quack is a derogatory term for pseudoscientific doctor.
Yes.
So they were basically calling chiropractors crazy, that they would sell you something, that they might kill you. And they were telling these young doctors that if you hear that your patients are going to the chiropractor and they're getting better, tell them not to go anymore. And it was this complete, they called it a commission on chiropractic, but they thought that name was too noble. So they called it a commission on quackery. And their mission was to contain and eliminate chiropractic. Why? Because like we are today,
it's not profitable for them.
Well, we're the only consistent exit from the medical system, right? Because you want a second opinion outside of the system, you can't get it in the system. There's nothing in the system that helps you need the system less.
Because all of them read the same books.
They all read the same books, but they all feed each other, right? All the doctors feed each other, but then all the systems, the food industry, the tech industry, the school industry, all of it feeds the same system.